Hi, I'm here today to talk to Arrash about a new product we're bringing to market in conjunction between ANSA and STC INSISO. The Centerpoint is something that we have worked together for a long time. I'm Maurilio Addario, I'm the Data Analytics Director for ANSA.
Hi, I'm Arrash Nekonam. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at STC INSISO. Here today to talk to Maurilio about our partnership, development and launch of the Centerpoint ERP platform. Go into a bit of detail about the history, some of the market analysis and what some of our customers are saying about the product today.
Yeah, we have worked together for a long time now. I think that the whole project kind of hurls back to maybe 2015, 2016. It's very much a product that is born out of a true industry need. I had recently joined the company. At that time, ANSA was part of Stranglehold, which is a logging company providing basically wireline logging services to the global oil and gas industry. And my background being in information engineering and IT, when I first joined, I was really surprised about how much of that really complex project was manually operated. There was so many communications going back and forth, phone calls, telephones, emails, spreadsheets. It was chaos. I mean, it worked, but it had so many potential failure points, and there was so much that could be done better. And I think this is when we approached you guys to kind of guide us on how to develop a platform that would allow us to get that 35 years of experience on how to conduct these operations really safely and efficiently, but how to condense all that information into something that didn't rely so much on people, because we had good people and they were 99% of the time sort of on the ball, but that 1% can make a huge difference.
Yeah, I remember when you came in to speak to us initially about this, and the concepts were in their infancy, I think, and there was one sort of earlier rendition of the platform in its kind of earlier guises, and then we thought about how we could improve upon that, and then we learned a lot about how the business works, where those efficiencies can be gained, and then we started developing from there, exploring each of the individual areas, from asset management to maintenance to logistics to projects and operations, just kind of covering the whole spectrum of things, and adding those features and functionalities as we went along, effectively diminishing the need for anything we managed in spreadsheets and such like outside the system.
Yeah, absolutely. Your approach to make this thing, the whole thing, quite modular really helped. Once, because we didn't need to wait until everything was ready to start using it. We started using it as the first modules came out of the oven as such. Which allowed us to kind of perfect the way the modules themselves were structured. But we ended up with a solution that had essentially a module for everything we needed. So from transporting the tools to site, from maintaining the tools, from getting to know where every asset is and where everybody is and what they're doing, getting that communication, that really crucial communication between the people that are doing the job and the people that are back in the office, sort of managing it all to be really seamless. So it was easy for everyone to know what was going on. And as management, the biggest sort of step change for us was just the visibility. We could suddenly have a dashboard or a single place, essentially a website, as it being a web-based server. That you could go in there and you could get everything in the same place. And I knew who was doing what, where, with what tools, what the conditions of the tools were, how close they were to get finished, or if there was any delays or anything else. So it made a huge change to the business in terms of efficiency. The NPT went almost nearly zero. I mean, we joked about it, but we were kind of setting targets for efficiency for the following year, and it was running out of decimal digits. We were like, well, 99.8%, so we need to do 99.9 next year and 99.99, or but we are very happy to now finally be able to get this all of this work and all of this effort that went into that, and bring it to the market, because there is a lot of people out there who will right now be messing around with spreadsheets and sort of not knowing exactly what's going on in their business, and that is a fantastic sort of opportunity for people out there.
Yeah, I think those years that you're referring to in terms of this in operation for yourselves was a good proving ground for this, to really give it a road test to evidence the fact that it can get these outcomes for an organization like yours. Effectively made us both decide that this is a viable product for the marketplace.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a direct fit for any company that's sort of in this business of wireline services, logging companies. There is thousands of outfits around the world that would directly benefit from this. But when we look at the broader picture in how the methodology that was used there can be applied to other industries, in the way that the modules were constructed, I can see how, with some effort, some work, subsequent versions of Centerpoint can be also, made to fit with a variety of other, businesses and other variety of other business models.
Yeah. In terms of how that evolved into Centerpoint, I think where we approached this was, okay, so we had a very specific use case here, and we developed the solution for that. And then we understood, okay, so how can we make a generic product out of this that will be fit for purpose for the marketplace? So we started looking at each of the modules once again, and we've been adding more configurability to each of those areas so that we can then make it a chameleon for any organization. And why I think this has been quite a unique offering when I've gone and spoken to customers has been, it's the ERP for the man on the ground. It's the ERP for operations, because when you go in typically in those organizations, either they are working with spreadsheets and systems like that are disconnected, disparate systems, or they're using something which is quite convoluted like SAP, or which is more of a finance-driven ERP system. So typically the operations guys were like, that's a finance system, we don't know anything about it, we just we get some data from it, but it doesn't really give them the insights that they need. So where I found that we're hitting the sweet spot with our customers and clients now is that they're saying, I can actually understand what's going on here. This helps me perform my job better. It makes me understand where my equipment is. It makes me understand what the state of that equipment is, the maintenance guys, the asset managers, the logistics teams, all those people working together and having that one ledger of truth, effectively, that one version of the truth is where the power is at.
Yeah. It's got a very good fit in somewhere in between, because I don't like to say the word, but SAP, it is such a massive tool. There are use cases for it, but a lot of the time, the effort and the investment, the onboarding can be so paralyzing to a lot of smaller, more agile companies. If you are a multinational of 100,000 employees, 200,000, God knows, maybe it's fine. But for a small, medium-sized business, or even a large business that does not want to kind of create that overhead, kind of being able to have something that can be onboarded very quickly, that doesn't have something, sort of really complicated licensing mechanism, can all be managed, with a single sort of software as a service sort of approach, and getting the people that use it the information they need quickly. The accounts teams and all this information is important, sure, but if you're not generating that revenue, if your utilization numbers are terrible, and everything, all the stuff that's on the ground is not working, then your number's not going to work either. So you really need to have that piece. So I think that's a fantastic tool. So for the sort of onboarding, what sort of time frame are you kind of getting now? Because you've obviously, we have been the original customer here, so our onboarding was immediate. We moved out from our old, the original sort of system that kind of was the seed that generated Centerpoint, but we moved onto Centerpoint within a week. I don't know, it was quick. But what sort of timeline are you seeing from the other customers?
I mean, it's relatively short time frame in comparison to most ERP rollouts. That's the key theme. I mean, we're talking about 3 to 4 weeks. Typically, it starts from getting an import of the asset register, starting at that point, getting all the assets in there. Then we speak to them about their maintenance regimes on those assets. They get plugged in. So we help them with that initial configuration. And once they're kind of set up, ready to go, we kind of leave them to it at that point. There's minimal training required, really minimal training required. And I think our target is 3 to 4 weeks typically from the onset to get them up and running. As long as the customer is able to provide the data sets required to get them going. We don't want to start with a blank canvas. We want to have something that's operationally ready from day one. So 3 to 4 weeks.
And it's, as you said, like you're able to sort of pull the information out of whatever, spreadsheets and whatever else they are using currently, and then feed it on. So it's not the case that you're going to have to manually re-enter a lot of this stuff.
No, that would be horrendous. I think we want to just basically start off with that. Say that the largest data set tends to be the asset register. Get that in, get that structure in. We've got a flexible hierarchical register structure, as you know, so it accommodates all that, and then build out from there in terms of maintenance, operations, logistics, HSE, and also it depends which modules they actually have in play. Maybe they have only a couple of modules in play in day one just to get them rolling, and maybe add the modules on later on. We've seen some of the customers say, well, actually, module 2, 3, and 4, for example, I'm not ready for the HSE stuff yet or the logistics stuff yet. I just want to get my assets and maintenance sorted out and then move into those arenas. So we work with the customer depending on how fast they want to take on the entire functionality.
Yeah, that's really important for us. Like, we originally were the same. We were bringing each module online as it was getting ready, but now they are all available. And if you want to bring them all at the same time, I guess you could. But you could also kind of pace yourself and be taking the modules one by one. You mentioned there the sort of maintenance module is probably one of my favorites. But yeah, well, I don't know. It's a nerdy thing to say, but it's just because of the amount of flexibility that it does give. You can, it's not that there are fixed rules on how to maintain those tools or your assets, but on the contrary, we had this concept of a maintenance sort of editor, something that allows the person that really understands how that asset works to create the maintenance regime, and then to be able to track that maintenance regime. Because I don't know, you might be maintaining a truck, you might be maintaining something else. In this case, mostly logging tools, but it is so flexible. It allows you to kind of actually set it up to kind of govern the maintenance of just about anything out there.
And I think the other novel thing about the maintenance module is our sort of mileage system within maintenance, the point system that we have. I think it works really well. I think it tracks things on schedules, things on movements, things on operations, and you can kind of get that feel for that mileage of the equipment and its longevity. And therefore, it's the viability of keep maintaining that piece of equipment or potentially replacing that piece of equipment.
Operationally, it goes both ways, because they say, oh, preventative maintenance. But there is a point where too much maintenance, you don't need to be doing that. The asset's not making money when it's being maintained. So yeah, you don't want to let things lapse. But at the same time, when you start learning how your tool fleet behaves and you adjust that point system, it gives you a very solid way to follow up and know when you actually do need to get those maintenance regimes running without having to just, put it on a clock. Because that's what people do. They just say, oh, well, maintain it every year or maintain it every 6 months. Well, how do you know? Is 6 months too much? Not enough? With the point systems, you actually do know.
And it could be at the point that it's on the job, it's been shipped out, and it's actually not fit for purpose, or it's not working.
And then you try to explain to the customer if something does go wrong, and then they ask for an investigation, they want to look at what happened, and then the tool was due maintenance. That is sort of stuff that we completely removed out of the equation. So you're not getting, customer affecting failures. And okay, they can happen, and there are things that you can never prevent. But when those do happen, in the rare events they do happen, you can go back and you can show, look, we are on top of the maintenance. We know exactly where the tool has been, how much work it has done. It wasn't something that could be foreseen, and then the end customer understands that it's a mechanical thing. It could fail, but at least you know that you are not on the hook for it.
And the other thing that's important to note is how intertwined all the modules are. So for example, you look at a piece of equipment, you can tell its entire history, where it's been, where it was when it was maintained. All that activity is there in the history. So if you ever want to know about the history of anything, I suppose any aspect of the system, it's all intertwined together. Everything from the module of actually winning the project, from it becoming an actual operational project, from the equipment that's on the project, and all those things together. I think what I like about Centerpoint in particular is that there's so much relationships between all the modules together that one strand can be pulled and you can find the whole history of everything.
Yeah. Is a data mining sort of, heaven for people that are interested in understanding patterns within their business? You can really understand okay, when these tools are involved in this type of campaign, they fail more. I don't know, is there more H2S on those wells? Is there more CO2 on those wells? Is the temperature profile different? Or is the particular region or whatever else might be happening? Or is it a mode of transportation? Like this stuff that you would never know. But we had, a particular type of tool that used to fail on a particular type of job. And we realized it was the vibrations on the actual transportation between well sites, because of not everywhere in the world you get nice roads and stuff. It's just the things in the back of a lorry being shook to death. And then we would get to the well site and have failures and we didn't understand. But then when you're putting it all back and wait a minute, they only fail when they are taking a truck from A to B and never anywhere else. And the moment that we then changed all the tool packaging and the way they were put on those trucks, no more failures. So, it's like being able to kind of correlate all this stuff without then you don't need to really know anything about, you don't need to be a computer wizard to be, you just can click your way around and all this information is just there.
The point you touched on is important, like the reporting is the bit I think we're advancing more now. So we're looking at really leveraging the power of Power BI with the data sets that Centerpoint is now gathering. And that's where I see the platform really evolving, is giving more and more insights. So the data is there, right? But it's about what different types of insights we can now derive out of that. That's, I think, limitless in a way. And we're currently working in terms of trying to get as much insight as we can, giving the customer as much value as they can get out of the data that they're recording, which is quite a lot of data, and can tell quite a story about so many different aspects of the business that would be of interest to any aspect of the business, from the finance teams to the operations teams. I think they can all get something from this platform.
The parts thing is something that we always sort of wanted. It was like in the list of things. We didn't get to that point in the original sort of work that was done with Centerpoint's predecessor. But yeah, it is a great addition. When that comes online, to be able to know that then when you're doing those maintenances, you know exactly how many O-rings you're going to need, or how many coils, or whatever it is that you're replacing, and be able to automatically deplete that from your parts store, and then automatically flag that you need to order more stuff, because that's another point of failure for people when you're depending on the size of the tool fleet you're maintaining, and you need to have all that stuff. Now you don't want to have too much stuff because it's not cheap and it's stock, it's just sitting. Yeah, you want to get that just in time, but you can't do this just in time if you don't have a system that kind of makes that all visible and it's all live. Spreadsheets, they just don't work for that.
And you must find it quite rewarding now, seeing something that you kind of with the brainchild of initially from an operational standpoint, now having that relevance to so many different companies, so many different departments. When we go and see people, they all can resonate with this challenge that we have addressed here with Centerpoint. It's not something that was just exclusive for Reed and ANSA, but actually is now widespread in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of having been the original architect of the way that the kind of translating the practices and the way that we did things, and fine-tuning them, and then translating them into the user stories, translating them into how it should look like, and getting you guys to make it real and make it sort of in a piece of software that embeds all of that knowledge. Yeah, I'm proud of having helped and been involved in that. And I had countless conversations with other people in the industry where they were just making comments about how this went wrong, how that tool got missing, how we lost a basket full of stuff, and I was like, you just should do this and that. But we couldn't really at that point share it in any way. It was like,
I hear the same challenges all the time. Everywhere I go and we talk about Centerpoint, the challenges are always the same. We're struggling to track this, we can't find that, we don't have confidence in what we're doing over here. And it's always the same sort of challenges that come up. And and immediately when we go through the demonstrations and start to talk about the modules, it's a light bulb moment straight away. It doesn't tend to be a difficult story to sell to people because they're already experiencing it.
And right now they can come to you and say, could you run a demo for us? Could you just get maybe some of our data in there, or just so they can see how it would look like?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so it's been an interesting journey. I think the future looks optimistic. I think we've started on a good path. We've already got some customers utilize the product. They're feeding in already, providing some really good feedback. And I think having industry experts along with us in this partnership gives it that authenticity that, you know, we're not just a bunch of tech guys thinking that we've got a solution here that's going to work for the industry. It's actually been proven, and we've actually got industry partners here that are backing that solution as well. So when we're having those conversations are had with that level of authenticity.
Yeah, it could never happen in any other way. We had this sort of subject matter expertise on how to get this stuff done, and you guys made it into a reality. You know, you make it so that it's safe, it's secure, it's on the cloud, it's you know, it's fast, it does what it needs to do, but it also does the right thing. You know. So,
yeah, performance user experience is obviously what they expect from software applications today, but
yeah,
we've done our bit and you've done yours, so
good.
It's been a great partnership.
And it was a good chat, and yeah, looking forward to seeing the Centerpoint, you know, with many more sort of installations and deployments, and helping the industry become more efficient, you know, become less wasteful, and just getting stuff where it needs to be, when it needs to be there.
For sure.
Cool.
Thanks so much for
Thanks for your time.
Cheers.
Cheers, man. Thank you.